Welcome back, you beautiful people. In this episode, I want to show you guys how to install XAMPP. So XAMPP allows you to run Apache, it allows you to run PHP and even Perl on any Windows machine, well, any newish Windows machine. And it also comes with MariaDB as well. So you have a database, you basically have a web server and you have PHP, so you could begin coding from there. And not just that, but you could also code in JavaScript as well. So as you know, I've been making these videos on how to code in JavaScript and also in PHP. So this is going to be useful for you if you don't have a web hosting service of any sort. You could just run this on your machine and you'll be able to code in PHP or in JavaScript as well. So let's get quick into it. So you can head over to Google and type in XAMPP. And as you can see, I already searched for it. But once you search for it, this is the first link you see, Apache Friends. So it's bundled. It's by a foundation named Apache Friends, and you just click on that website, and it's going to likely recommend to you which operating system these downloads are available for. And so as you can see, there's a download section, and we're going to download the XAMPP for Windows, which comes with PHP 8.2. The good thing about this is that they tend to upgrade PHP as PHP comes out. So, in the future, you should probably see another higher version of PHP. They do this automatically for you, so it makes it really, really simple. As you can see also, I haven't tested this, but there's also a Linux version and also an OS X version. So if you run Linux or you run Mac, you can probably choose those options. But today we'll be, of course, using the Windows version. I have Windows 10. This should be compatible also though with Windows 11 as well. And I've even run this stuff on Windows 7 and 8 before, so you should be able to run these for at least a period of time until their end of life. So I already downloaded the file. So when you click on it to download the file, it's gonna tell you your download will start automatically if it doesn't click here. And I did this already. I clicked on it. It gives you a SourceForge link and it downloads it. It's going to download it back, but I already downloaded it, so we'll not continue this. We'll just go very quickly into running it. So once you have it downloaded, you just, of course, click on it and we'll run the setup, and let's see how the setup looks like. I don't know if that's you got that screen, but that screen basically asks you if you want to allow this to run or not. I click yes, and here we see it running. It seems that you have an antivirus. That's fine. You could just continue on. I'm going to close this off so we could see it a little bit better. This is the warning that you get. It's not really a warning per se, but obviously it's warning about it's that antivirus could slow down the installation. I would suggest you don't disable your antivirus. Your antivirus is there for a reason, so please continue to run your antivirus. Okay. So we're just going to continue. Yes. It's also going to tell us important because an activated user account control on your system, some functions of XAMPP are possibly restricted. Please use with the UAC, please avoid to install XAMPP to C drive program files, right? So it's telling you to try not to install to this directory here, program files, because of the right permissions. That's fine as well too, or deactivate UAC. And I don't suggest you deactivate UAC as well, because of course that's a security measure and you don't need to deactivate it. So just continue on, click OK, and it's going to come up with the wizard. The wizard is going to ask you, basically you just have to go through next, but we'll go through all the options that are available. You click next, and now there's the options of what you want installed. So for example, as I showed you, as I said earlier, there's a HTTP server, that's Apache. So that runs, that serves web pages, right? There's the MySQL server, which actually is MariaDB, according to what they say on their website. That's the database server. There's also FileZilla FTP server. That's in case you want to remotely connect to your machine and have FTP access, which is file access, so that you could edit files from outside on the internet. Well, you'll have to set up some more stuff, but that's basically what that's there for. And of course, to download files as well. And there's a Mercury mail server, and there's Tomcat. Now, we don't necessarily need Tomcat, and neither do we probably need the mail server as well. But you could install it, and I'm not going to probably install it, but you could go ahead and install it. It doesn't make much of a difference. So I'm going to disable that, And I'm also even going to disable the FileZilla FTP. Well, I'll leave that on. It continuing on, it actually says programming languages. So there's PHP. You can't actually switch this off, as you can see as well. But you can switch off Perl. I don't use Perl, but you can leave it on. I'm not going to use Perl, so I'm just going to disable it. And it comes with these really useful features as well. It says programming languages, but these are not really programming languages. These are utilities that you can use, like PHP MyAdmin, for example. It's a graphical user interface where you can edit the database tables, and I strongly suggest you leave that one in, because we'll get to why that's super nice. Because instead of having to write SQL statements, you can actually use this GUI interface and create your tables, add your fields, and so forth as well. There's Webalizer, which is statistics. So like if you have a website, you're actually going to run a website for any reason on your computer. I don't think that's really something that you would want to do, but if it is, I mean, for the public, you can enable Webalizer, and of course there's fake sendmail as well. Those things we really don't necessarily need. Fake sendmail, we'll leave that on because I don't know if PHP is going to actually use this, so we could just continue on from there. Next, it's going to ask you which folder. By most standards, most standard installations, it's fine to install it in this directory, which is C:\\XAMPP. In my case, I do have a D drive where I store all of my data. It's redundant drive, so I store that data there so that I don't lose it. So I'm going to set it as D. But if you don't have a D drive, that's fine. Just leave it as C, and you should be good to go. Click next. It's going to ask you the language. Of course, choose your language. And now it's ready to install. So I'm going to click next one more time. And there we go. It's unpacking files. It's installing. Okay, we're back. And here we finished the setup. And now we want to go into, do you want to start the control panel now? We say yes, we want to do that because we want to see what the true control panel looks like. And this is really cool, right? So it actually tells you when it's compiled. This is probably the latest version of their control panel. It tells you the version. That's not what we are too interested in. What we're interested in here is you can actually checkbox these boxes that are empty, so that they run as a service, meaning every time Windows boots, it's going to automatically switch on the Apache, the MySQL, which is the database, and all of these other services, if you want that to be that way. If you don't, you just don't have to check anything out, right? In my case, I don't really want to run it in the background all the time. I just want to be able to do, like, for example, if I'm showing you a video or a tutorial of something, then I'm going to run it and then I'm going to record it for you. But the main thing is you need to have Apache running. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to start it, Apache running, and it tells you which port Apache is running on. So it says port 80 and 443. We may not go into details about the ports. You don't need to know the ports per se. Just follow me. And there's also the MySQL server. So we're going to run the MySQL server. We are going to not use the FileZilla, Mercury, or Tomcat at this point in time. Okay, so now that we have these running, you may be wondering, well, what does that actually do? All right, so now that you have this running, let's open up our browser and let's head over to this address. Try to remember it, 127.0.0.1, just like that, just 127.0.0.1. That usually works. Sometimes localhost also works, so you could try localhost, right? One word, and see if that works as well. And yes, it worked. So either one will work. It automatically forwarded us to this /dashboard section. Hope you could see that there. And then it says it's running. So this actually means that we have the web server Apache running in the background of our computer, our Windows machine. And we can begin building out pages. But there's a few things we can do just before we build our pages. One thing is, as you can see there's PHP info. And we could click on that. And we could confirm if this page loads, it means that PHP is running correctly on Apache. So now we got this information, all of this stuff. We're not going to go through this stuff, but I'm just showing you that PHP is actually being executed from this Apache server. So I'm going to close that off. And what I also want to show you is PHP MyAdmin, which we installed. And this is a utility that allows you to manipulate the database, which is the MySQL database that's running in the background. Remember, we started it here. We started it, that MySQL database. Now it's running here, and we could use this tool to actually manipulate the tables, create new users. It even shows you how to create new fields for tables, and it shows you the SQL as well. So you can actually learn SQL in the background while using this GUI. So that's why I highly recommend it. This is how I learned SQL, because in university we studied SQL, but it was really easy as well to see it in action when we used PHP MyAdmin. But coming back here, this is the last point as we close off this video, is how do we create our first page after we have installed XAMPP, right? So as you can see, firstly, our local host, when we visited localhost, it automatically redirected us to this /dashboard. I want to show you what the file structure for XAMPP looks like and where you need to create your first file. Okay, so we're going to open up File Explorer. We're going to go to D drive /XAMPP, which is where we installed it. And then you'll see all of these things. Don't worry too much about it. Just go to htdocs. That's the name of the directory that has everything in it. And what I want to show you is that here we see this index.php file. So there's already an index.php file. If we open this index.php file, if you don't have VS Code, I do, so I'm opening it up in VS Code. Let's have a look at what this is showing us. So this is actually the code that was used to forward to /dashboard. All right, so I'm just showing you this so that you understand what's happening here. So when you visited localhost, it visited this index.php file and it executed this code, and this code forwarded you to the dashboard, which is this page here. Okay, so that's a little bit complicated, right? I understand. All right, so there's two things you can do. Firstly, you can actually rename index.php file to indexold.php. What that will do is, if we go to localhost, now we see a list of files because there's no default index.php. Every time you visit a site, it looks for an index file. It's either the index.html file or the index.php file. Now that we renamed it, it can't find this index file. So we need now to create a new index.php file. Okay? I hope that you're following with me and it makes sense, but hopefully this is going to help you understand it as well. So you create an index.php file, which is empty. Okay? Yes, that's fine. We're going to close. Now that I created that new file, let's say you didn't have VS Code open, you could just open it back in VS Code or Notepad or whatever. And you could type in something here. So we could just say hello world. We save that. Now we go back to our site and we reload the page. And now we have hello world. Awesome. That is HTML, or that's pure text. Let's put it that way. Now let's run some PHP code to see it work as well. So in your PHP file, now we open our tags. All right. $PHP. And we, of course, have to make sure we have our correct closing tag as well. And in here, we write whatever PHP code we want, which is, in this case, we could say, this is PHP code that has been executed. Okay. I'm going to put this here, and that's it. Let's save that. Okay. And now, if we go back to the browser and we reload, we'll see this is PHP code that has been executed. So it means now that you have a fully functioning web server that is able to execute PHP, and it's also able to connect to its own database, MariaDB or MySQL database in the background, and you can begin building your website. I hope that this helps you out. If it does, please make sure to like and subscribe. For more of videos like this, tutorials like this, as we go along as well, learning PHP as well as JavaScript. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to have some giveaways as well. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to comment in as well if you have any questions. and I'll get to them as much as I can. I'll answer as much as I can if it's easy, of course. And if it's questions that require me to do a tutorial video, I'll also do that for you guys as well too. So thanks again. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.